Haven, and today I'm going to share a little bit with you about me and what I suffer with. I wouldn't say I really have a mental illness, but I do suffer from depression and anger and relationships. To start off with depression, I would say I would have depression because my dad has depression as well, but I have witnessed most of what he has been through. There were times where my dad would lock the doors and I'd be like screaming and crying and trying to get in. Only because my dad would cut himself. And he would cut himself to the point where he needs stitches. And my dad is, as a stubborn dad he would super glue them together because they would be too deep and he wouldn't go to the hospital, And those were very traumatic to me. I would just cry and there wasn't really anything I can do. Like, I felt as if I had anger, but then again I didn't because that is my dad. I would just forgive him and ask him not to do it anymore. That is easier said than done because a person with depression is not just going to stop doing what they're doing. I never understood really why my dad had depression because I was at a younger age and my dad really was not going to tell me. But I've noticed my dad was not a very happy person, and we didn't have anybody in our family. It was just me and my dad. My grandfather never was in contact. Sisters, no family member was in contact with my dad because his passed. My dad was a very bad alcoholic, like I said in the previous video. He is no longer an alcoholic anymore. He is been sober for over 2 years. Which is amazing, and I'm very happy and I'm so proud of him, like beyond proud of him. But back to what I was saying. Another thing that really put me in a traumatic situation that really hit me was when my father hung himself. My grandmother had just committed suicide not too long before he had hung himself. She was, then again, another very depressed person who didn't have nobody and just felt hopeless, and she was just at the point where she was ready to go, and I can't be mad at her for that because she was suffering. But my dad had hung himself and I felt angry. That was the first time I ever felt angry towards my dad. Like, how dare you leave me on this world to fend for myself? I have nobody. My dad was my best friend. I didn't have any other family members who, were there for me. They thought I had problems, I was a bad child and this and that and whatever. But when he had hung himself, it was just like I gave up. I gave up caring about anything. I gave up, I didn't listen to nobody. I was just done. Like, my friend was about to leave this world. My father, I have a mother, but me and my mother do not communicate due to what she has done, but I was just angry, sad, hurt. Didn't feel as if he loved me, no matter how much you say it, actions speak louder than words. But I was young. That was a couple years ago. I was younger. And I had to really think, like, he's going through a lot. He wasn't in the right state of mind. He was not sober, stuff like that. So, due to all what I've seen and what I've been through, there's been times in my life where I've sat there and I've cut myself and I've cut my inner leg so nobody could see, and I would just, I was just hurt. I didn't feel as if anybody loved me, and I didn't have friends at school. Nobody's really ever liked me. I've always been, like, called names. I've been told that I was a hoe. Just so much things, and people don't know me, and they don't know my story, and I can't really blame them, because there's been times where I've judged a book by its cover, but definitely I felt hopeless, like there was no reason for me to be here anymore. My dad wants to leave, we just leave together. But, that's not always the answer. And I made a promise to myself and my father that I was never going to physically harm myself anymore, and I've kept that promise, you know. I want to be strong, and I want to show my dad that if I'm able to be strong, you could be strong, you know. If I'm able to push through what I'm going through, then you are able to push through, you know. I'm here because of my dad, but I'm getting through it, and I'm becoming a better person for my dad and for myself, of course. Another thing I suffer from is anger. My anger is very bad now. You know, it may not look like it, but it's terrible. A reason why is because of what my mother's done to me and because of what my dad's put me through. You know, all that anger just builds inside, and this is the only way I've been releasing it is through my anger. I get in trouble at school for fighting all the time. I fight when I'm home. I'm just very quick to get angry, and I'm in counseling now for it. You know, and I think it's best to be in counseling for it because I don't need to get in trouble or accidentally harm somebody to the point I go to jail, you know, so I'm really focusing on that. One last thing is my relationships. I am one to get very attached. I get attached to the point where it's bad for me. You know, I'm looking for that love that I didn't get from my father. They do say that your father is the daughter's first love, which I believe that is true, you know, and they always say, you know, why do you think that people marry people that are somewhat like their father, you know, and I never had, I mean, I've had it since I was about 8, my dad, but I never really had it. So when I get into relationships, I put my all in that person, and I put my feelings aside, and I vouch for them, you know, I only go for them, and I try and I'm never myself. I can never be myself when I'm in relationships. I'm too insecure. I feel as if I'm not enough, and it's not really good. It's not healthy, and that's another thing I need to work on, you know. Falling for somebody, I wouldn't necessarily falling, but really getting attached to somebody is not a really good thing, especially being younger, you know, what might happen when I get older. But that's just a little bit of my story. I'm not really gonna go, like I said, I'm not gonna go too in depth, you know, because there's a lot more things, a lot more traumatic things that I try and not talk about because it brings me to tears. But I want you guys to always remember, everybody has a story, you know. Don't judge a book by its cover. Get to know that person. You never know, you might change somebody's life, or, you know, help them with what they're going through just by telling them what you go through, you know. Give somebody a chance, you know. And I also wanted to put out there, thank you guys so much to the people who left comments on my videos and are showing me support. It really means a lot, and I'm so glad. I've got numerous messages of people just telling me thank you for making these videos, and it's amazing how you can change somebody's life just by telling them yours. But keep on watching, you know. I'm gonna come out with some vlogs and stuff, and I think that'll really be cool. But like I said, thank you so much for the support, and thanks for watching.